Yo, what is going on, everybody? Hopefully you guys are having yourselves a wonderful day, and thank you guys for tuning in to today's video. In today's video, guys, I'm gonna be breaking down my top 5 favorite exercises to build real abs right at home with no exercise equipment needed. Now, just like in our previous instructional guide, we'll go through these exercises step by step, we'll go through the breathing techniques, and highlight some key points along the way. So let's jump right into it, guys. So for our very first exercise, we're gonna be kicking it off with a classic, and that is the sit-up. Now, the sit-up is not really an exercise that gets a lot of credit where it's due. A lot of people are saying that, it causes permanent damage in your spine because it curves your spine. A big reason for this is because a lot of people like to crank on their neck at the beginning of this exercise, putting yourself in a nice curved position already. But a lot of people continue the motion throughout the whole exercise like so, creating a nice little C curve in our back, okay? Now, to avoid doing this and doing it correctly is to put your hands or your fingers behind your ears. This is already gonna stop you from cranking on your head because a lot of people don't like to pull on their ears too much. So with our hands here, a good focal point is to keep your elbows nice and wide. And as we come up for this exercise, we are staying more straight through the motion. We're not curving here because we're not starting the motion curved. We are straight throughout the whole motion. And typically through that first 10 to 20% and that last 10 to 20%, you don't have a lot of good core control. So a good way to focus on this is the breathing technique. So as you are coming up through this exercise, try breathing in. And once you hit the top of the exercise, you start breathing out. And as you're gradually coming down, like I said, that last 10 to 20%, not a lot of real core control. And so when your core is completely engaged due to your breathing, you still have a little bit of that control as you're coming down. Now, you guys are probably wondering about like foot placement and everything. So I know a lot of people can't perform this exercise without weighing themselves down with something. So if you need to like slip your feet underneath a couch, a chair, or table, whatever it is, right, to be able to actually do this exercise, that's totally cool. And the reason is because a lot of people don't realize it, but your upper body is always going to be typically like the heavier part because it's carrying all the vital organs, right? So it's not, it's not like something that's unfamiliar to do, to weigh yourself down. But if you can manage it, try and do it without something that's going to add a little bit more stability and a little bit more control to this exercise. But I would say if you are using something to weigh yourself down and you're still trying to progress to this point, something that you can do is as you start getting more familiar with the exercise, you can continue to scoot your legs back a little bit more, reaching your heels towards your butt. And what this is gonna do, it's gonna create more of an incline. That way you're coming up a little bit steeper every time, and it's making you use a little bit more of your abs every time as well. Now, as you guys can see, if I try and do this exercise without weighing myself down and having my heels really close to my butt, I can't really do it because I don't have much of a stable base to work off of, okay? But if I push my legs out just a little bit, and again, don't stress about the angles here. I know a lot of people are like, oh, it has to be, X angle or whatever. Just get yourself in a nice cozy position to where you feel like generally your upper body and lower body should be proportionally spread, okay? So in this case, like I said, I'm a little bit more spread out. Now I have a more stable base and I can come up for the exercise. And sometimes you'll even notice, in a good determining factor is if your feet start to come up a little bit, but not completely off the ground, that's typically where you find your good happy spot for this, okay? Now, jumping into our next exercise, we're gonna be going through the straight leg raise, okay guys? Straight leg raise, great exercise if you're really trying to focus on that lower bit of your abs, and really good for the hip flexors as well. So we'll go through this exercise and we'll be starting off laying down. Now, from this point, a lot of people don't really know what to do with their hands. If you're a beginner and you don't feel really stable, you don't have a lot of core control, try making a nice little diamond formation with your hand or whatever this is. And we are going to place our hands underneath our butt or underneath our tailbone. And from this point, we're gonna raise our legs up about 3 to 6 inches off the ground. Now, from this point, this will be our starting position. We're gonna raise our legs up. Now, a lot of people like to stop here. The way I like to try and do this is just adding one more little motion, and it's just adding a little pelvic thrust towards the top. So as we are coming up, we pelvic thrust and back down. And it doesn't have to be paused or anything like that, but just for demonstration purposes, I'm doing a little bit slower. But you can just do a quick pop up, and back down, okay? Nothing super crazy. Now, to ensure that you're staying in a nice straight position and making sure that your core is staying engaged, good technique is to inhale as you're coming up, and that last 10 to 20% of your breath that you catch is in that pelvic thrust. And as you're coming down, it's the complete opposite. So you're breathing out, and that last 10 to 20% is as you're bringing your legs down, okay? I'll also say your knees or your legs don't have to be completely locked out or straight. As long as they're not completely bent, you're totally good. It's gonna keep your core nice and contracted. And then in regards to your hand positioning, if you don't need to make that diamond formation with your hands, feel free to put your hands wherever you like. If you want to put them behind your head in a T formation, whatever you like, it's really up to you. As long as you're comfortable and you just feel like you're stable throughout the whole exercise, okay? Now for our next one, we're gonna be going through the plank marches, okay? The plank marches is a great exercise because it combines two different variations of exercises. So for the plank position, we'll be into it's almost like the push-up position. So if you guys ever watch that video, you guys can check it out anytime. But we'll get into that perfect push-up position. We're here, but we're gonna be actually starting on our forearms, okay? And you can get down into this position however you like, but that's just a good way to get yourself nice and set. So from this point, our feet are together. Our hands, you can do whatever you want with your hands, it's totally up to you. But the next part of this motion is we're going to be bringing our knees up to our elbows, like so. And we're switching to the other side. Now, trying to keep a nice straight back is a little bit harder with this exercise, but trying to stay nice and low is our goal. We don't want to be sticking our butt up to get our knees to our elbow. We want to still stay nice and straight, generally speaking, and the knee should be coming and dodging out to the side rather than down through the middle, okay? And that'll stop you from raising your butt up off the ground. Now, a good breathing technique for this is while we are bringing our knee up, we are exhaling, and we should be completely out of breath as that knee meets the elbow, and we are inhaling as we are swapping sides, okay? And that's really all there is to this one. Again, don't stress too much about what you're doing with your hands. If you wanna pray during this exercise, that's totally cool. But again, bringing your feet back to that straight position and bringing your feet back together is normally your good reset. It's gonna make your core stay nice and engaged. That way, if your feet are spread, you're gonna feel a little bit weird as you bring your legs forward, and it's not gonna feel as unstable, and it's not gonna have that balance aspect to it as much, okay? So our next exercise is going to be the leg tuck and twist, guys. So this is a great exercise, really for all around good core conditioning. So for this one, your hands, I like to say general good practice is hands anywhere from hip level, and wherever you like, close, far is totally up to you. Now, you can go behind or hip level, but you want to try and avoid having your hands up here. This isn't going to give you a nice stable base. What I like to try and practice is my fingertips are facing in the direction of where my legs are going, and I put a nice little bend in my hands, and my hands are right behind my hips. So this would be hip level. This is right behind my hips. My fingertips are pointing forward, and I just kind of come up. Now our starting position, again, is gonna be about like 3 to 6 inches off the ground, kind of like the straight leg raise. This is already engaging our core, okay? Now, from this point, we're going to bend our knees in, and you can start on the left or the right side, but you're gonna bring your knees to the left or the right shoulder, and you're gonna come back out to that straight leg position and bend to the opposite side, okay? Nothing super complicated. I would say that the breathing in this one can get a little complicated because as you get more familiar with this exercise, you're gonna continue to increase how fast you do it. And then at that point, your breathing gets a little bit thrown off and you don't have a good rhythm anymore, okay? So I like to say, if you can, a good breathing technique is typically, I like to breathe out as I'm bringing my knees in because it's kind of hard to bring your knees in if you are full of air and you don't get as much range of motion. You can't pull your knees in as far to get that nice scrunched up position, okay? So like I said, if I completely exhale as opposed to, I feel like either my stomach or my chest is going to be protruding out, stopping me from getting that nice full range of motion. But again, choose whatever breathing techniques works for you, whether it's in, out, in, however you want to navigate that. It's totally up to you guys. Now, for our last exercise, I wanted to save the best for last, is gonna be the bicycle crunch, guys. So, with the bicycle crunch,
The reason this is one of my favorites, honestly, is because the bicycle crunch is typically done in a very specific way. And I'll show how that is. So the bicycle crunch, you can do hand position either behind your ears or your head, totally up to you. But again, I like to try and avoid putting my hands on my head. It still causes that cranking motion and I don't really enjoy it. So I'm gonna show you guys with hands behind the ears. Now, the bicycle crunch, typically you were just kicking your legs in and out as if you were, I guess, riding a somewhat bicycle, right? Now, the modifications I've made over this to the years, this is how we're gonna do it. So, starting position is here, elbow to the opposing knee, and this foot can either rest on top of the extended leg or it can be to the side of it, okay? Now, once we're in this position, we are going to trace this extended leg with our bent up foot, and we're going to swap over like so. And if you need to, you can break these motions up into 2 different parts. Just practice the leg motion until you feel comfortable with that. But what this is doing, this is engaging our hip flexors more and also engaging our core just a little bit extra, okay? So again, once you are comfortable with this position, you're gonna be starting left or right, doesn't really matter, but you wanna start with one of the opposing elbows to the opposing knees, and we're going to swap. The main goal is trying to make sure we are bringing our shoulder blade off of the ground. That's why I don't like cranking on the neck, because it's really easy to just do it like this, whereas if I tell you to hold your ear, it keeps this nice open space to where when you come up, you're always guaranteed to get your shoulder blade off of the ground. Now, the last and final thing I would say, actually 2 last things I would say is, as you can see with my extended leg, I'm also staying 3 to 6 inches off the ground. That'll always be the rule for these exercises, just because it's gonna keep the core engaged throughout the entire exercise, whether we're moving or not, okay? Now, I like to say for the breathing technique on this exercise, as your elbow is meeting that opposing knee, you are breathing out. That's gonna get you that nice core contraction as you were coming in. And as you are changing, you are breathing in and you are breathing out as you're coming back. So it's a very quick motion. It's kind of just, and that's all there really is to it. Yeah, I think that should be about it, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, let me know down in the comments, or let me know what you guys would like to see as well. Other than that, guys, like the video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Have yourselves a wonderful day. Mad love. Peace out.